strongly believe that the enemy and God both gives you signs at the same time when you are really close to something that you're supposed to be doing. And the reason why I say that is I've noticed that I always get friction. I always get friction or like pushback anytime I start making a lot of progress in my business, and I go through this cycle of depression. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know that there's a lot of emotions that you deal with in entrepreneurship. And as a mother, you go through a lot of emotions when it comes to being a parent and a sole provider and like just all those things. And I find that I get stagnant anytime I feel that there's friction in what it is that I'm trying to do. And I said that this time I want to start catching these moments and picking up the camera and helping someone else that may be in a situation that I feel my words can help them through. Because why allow the enemy to stay in my head and get me jumbled and not give him pushback, if that makes sense? So I almost want to take the opportunities whenever he is really trying to get me down to either give back in some type of way or get on my Bible or like just do something that I know the enemy wouldn't want me to do as a response. Almost like the more you mess with me, the more I'm gonna get you back. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even like, I hate to use the term get you back, but like I'm gonna do something positive to compensate for you coming at me the way that you're coming at me, if that makes sense. So this video is really not even on my calendar. This is literally a spare of the moment video. And I find that sometimes these videos are the best and most impactful videos. And so I wanted to just share what's on my heart and, like I said, be a vessel, help someone else. I have no idea what is going to come out of my mouth today. I have no idea what I'm titling this video, but I want to share with you guys. I am growing my YouTube channel, and right now, as of today, I'm at a little over 2,000 subscribers, and I'm like right here with monetization. I mean, like right here. And I had to slow down on posting, and I'm gonna do a whole video on that with my quarter recap, but I had to slow down on posting. And recently I've just been feeling overwhelmed in my business, just overwhelmed. It's caused me to almost hit a roadblock. And the moment I started hitting these roadblocks, the enemy just appeared in my head. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my videos doing wonderful. I feel like my videos are performing really well. I had a video do really, really well recently. It actually hit 5,000 views. And I couldn't even be really excited about it because I was in my head, like just really, really loud noise and just loud conversations in my head to just like get me down. I couldn't really understand why every time I start getting traction in my business that I hit these cycles of just depression and all of these mood swings and emotions. And then it seems like other things, like personal things in my life, start to kind of come to a head. And then I find that the easiest way to explain it is I find myself putting out fires everywhere. And at some point I started feeling like I was waking up for other people and not necessarily waking up for myself. And what I mean by that is, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but if you can, put it in the comments, where you almost don't want to get out of bed because you feel that your day is not yours anymore. And I'm gonna give you an example. So I know when I find myself oversleeping, I have to really dig and figure out why am I oversleeping, for one. And I find that I start oversleeping because I know when I wake up, like, okay, I'm gonna have to do chores around the house, right? I have a long list of things that I need to do around the house because every day is different. So I don't want to give an example because every day looks different, but I know I'm gonna have to do that. And then I'm gonna have to work on my business. And then sometimes in business, if you feel that you're not pushing the needle forward enough, and I have the issue of everything has to be done that day. Like there's this there's this sense of urgency that should not exist, but for some reason I've always put a sense of urgency on my life for some reason. Like there's always a time clock for me, and I keep trying to remember that God wants you to take your time and the enemy wants you to rush. So anytime I feel in the rushing spirit, I know that that's not of God, but just stick with me, because before you realize that, you just feel it and you don't realize what's really going on. So I feel the rush to get certain things in my business done by certain deadlines that I put on myself. Not, I'm not working with brands or, anything like that to where I have like legit deadlines, just deadlines that I put on myself. And so I get unmotivated to get up for that. Like some days I just don't want to work on my business because I don't feel like I'm pushing it. I'm not going to be able to push the needle forward fast enough. And then I know I have to homeschool. And so most days I love homeschooling, but some days I ain't trying to do that. Because like if my kids get stuck in certain areas, then it takes mental power for me to, put my teacher hat on and help them through what it is that they've gotten stuck on. And this middle school curriculum is rough, okay? It feels like I'm in school again. So then I know I have to do that. And then, you got to tend to the kids. You got to make sure everyone in the house eats. And it's like the list just goes on and on and on. And some days it just makes me not want to get up. It just makes me not want to get out the bed. And so I oversleep. That's my whole point. And it starts like that. And then I feel that after I oversleep, obviously the day is behind now. So now I find myself rushing. And it's crazy because the enemy will make you feel like something is a good idea at the time. And then the moment you act on that idea, he will shut you down. Like, see, you shouldn't have did that. Why would you do that? Da-da-da-da-da. Now look what you messed up. And it's so crazy because like when I'm in the bed, he will convince me to oversleep. Like, oh girl, you don't need to get up right now. Take your time. You good. You gonna get this stuff done. You deserve this extra hour of sleep, right? So he talks real good to me when I'm in the process of trying to get up. And then I will turn over and then I will wake up and it will be really, really late in the day. And then the moment I get up and it's like 11 o'clock or whatever time it is that I've overslept, he's like, see, look what you did. Now your day is behind and now you're not going to be able to do this, and you're never going to change. And like all of these thoughts just enter my head and it just makes my day go even worse. And one thing that I know is that if you wake up on a low vibration or if you get into a low vibration, things tend to happen. And so you're already in the bad mood. And I know someone's like, girl, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about because it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. So you wake up, as they call it, on the wrong side of the bed. And then it just seems like things are just not going the way you wanted them to. And it's because you've waken up in a low vibration. And I find that the longer I allow my mind to overtake my day, each day gets worse. So what do you do? Like, what do you do when you are in those moments? And that's the whole reason I'm creating this video, because I am in the process of getting out of my head. And I want you to get out of your head too if you're experiencing a lot of chatter and a lot of noise in your head and you cannot get it to shut up. Like you just literally cannot get your head to shut up. The first thing that I'm doing, or that I have been doing, is I had to get off of social media. I'm on a social media detox. I had to completely pull back from my social media accounts because I was struggling with comparison. Comparison is like one of my biggest enemies recently, like in the most recent seasons. And when I say seasons, I've been in this season for like at least a few years of dealing with comparison on and off. And so anytime I start getting in my head and I start looking at other people's lifestyle and other people's families and, them taking their kids on vacations and doing all the things that I desire for me and my family, I have to completely pull back from social media and get off. And that's one of the reasons why in my business, I am trying to create a business model that does not rely so heavily on social media because it's really not good for my mental health. And it's really not good for anyone's mental health, what social media does, but that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. But I have to pull off, and I found another thing that I struggle with in the more recent seasons with entrepreneurship is when you see other entrepreneurs online in a similar niche or industry, or maybe in the same industry as you, and you feel that you should be further than where you are, you will find yourself comparing yourself to other peers in the same industry. Or not only that, if you are in like an online coaching space, which I have pulled myself out of the coaching space, but I still feel that I'm kind of in it a little bit because I'm an educator. So like I teach and I follow other people that teach in other areas. You will find that other coaches are loud. It is not intentional, but it's just when you are around a lot of educators in the online space, you will start hearing a lot of unsolicited advice that you didn't necessarily come on the platform to get. And then it will cause your brain to kind of jumble up, especially when you're working towards stuff. And so I find that just completely pulling myself back from educational content, coaches, anything online really helps. So that's the first thing that I would recommend, especially if you deal with imposter syndrome or if you deal with comparison or comparing yourself to other people. The second thing that I'm doing now is doing this. So whenever I'm in my head, obviously like when it's real bad and I feel that I'm constantly complaining and it's just spilling out, I'm not in a position to do this. But once I start taking those steps and those parameters, I feel that creating YouTube videos really helps me release the pressure, or it feels good to feel that this video is going to help someone. And I want to be able to be a vessel whenever the enemy is attacking me specifically, so that I can make sure that I am still helping people in whatever situation you may be going through. So if you're feeling the same way that I'm feeling and I'm able to give you a message to help you come out of it, then my job is done. And these feelings don't go in vain, if that makes sense. Because right now I'm supposed to be recording an educational video and I am just not in the mood. Like, if I'm just being honest, I am not in the mood. I'm supposed to be posting like 2 to 3 times a week on YouTube, and I just do not have the mental capacity to really do that at like in this stage. Even though that's what's on my calendar, I'm just not at the mental capacity to do it, and I have to be okay with that. But this video feels a lot better than trying to educate someone right now. And that's why I'm really trying to create a business model that allows me to have the flexibility to create what I want when I want. Because there's also other days where I just really want to teach. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I really got to get this out. But then there's other days where I don't. And so I want to do stuff like this. And then also another thing that you could do, and I really should have said this first, because this is the very first thing that I do, is I pray. I pray to God, and my prayers don't look like everyone else's prayers. Like, I pray in the shower. I may pray while I'm in bed. Like, I literally have conversations with God, and I let him know where my heart is. I let him know what I'm struggling with. And I love the way God always lets me know that he's listening to me. So if you haven't brought your issues to God, then I definitely recommend that you have a conversation with him and let him know like how you're feeling, and pray for his help, because you need it. Especially when like your head is jumbled. I feel that when my head is jumbled, I definitely need God to help me get out of it, because there's so many things that, especially in 2024, like there's so many things that can make you depressed. The fact that the price of so many things are going up, and a lot of people are financially struggling right now. Even if they're making a lot of money, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and that in itself can be depressing if you don't get a hold of your mindset and remember the good things that you have. And I struggle with that sometimes when you see the cost of dated like everyday things just different. You're just like, I just refuse to pay that amount for this. And then the cost of rent and like all these different things are just changing around us. And it can become a lot, especially when you're not living for you anymore, you're living for your kids. And so you don't care for, like, you put yourself, I don't want to say on the back burner, but you put your kids first. So you, if your kids are good, then you're good, you know? But when you start struggling to do like the day-to-day things, and now those things are coming far and few in between, it can be a lot. So you have to stay grounded, especially spiritually in these moments. And I find that the enemy has really got to me recently because I wasn't grounded in the word, and I wasn't grounded in getting my cup filled up, because of the fact that the enemy will put in my head that, girl, you don't need to listen to this sermon. Like, going to church. Why are you going to church? Like, you don't need that. And he will really make me feel like I don't need to have my cup filled. And then my cup will get all the way down to the ground. Like, it will be empty. And I will still feel that I don't need those things. And then I will do it anyway. Like, the moment that I feel that resistance, the moment I feel that resistance to get in the word of God and to listen to a sermon, thank God I have a spouse who is a man of God, and he's always talking about God. And he's the type of person where he'll be like, hey, I really think we should go to church this week, or I think we need to pray together today. I'm so glad that he always keeps it top of mind, because sometimes if it wasn't for him, I don't know what would happen with my mind space, like, for real. Like, he really helps me with that. But if you feel the resistance to listen to the word, I strongly encourage you to pull up a sermon. The sermon is the reason why I've even began to come out of my headspace to even get back into recording content, talking to you guys, getting focused on my business. Before, I just didn't want to do anything. And so do what you have to do to get in a positive mind space. I would tell you to do like a gratitude, what do you call it? Gratitude list, a list of different things that you're grateful for. I personally haven't done that yet. It does help, but I feel that sometimes you just need to get in the word. You need to get something strong, and only you know what that thing is. Sometimes music helps to pull me out of it. Music has not really been working this time, which is crazy because music always works. I feel like I'm rambling, but I hope to God that this is helping somebody. I really do. Just know that emotions are quick. So you may feel like this today, and then you may feel great tomorrow. That's one thing that I've learned about emotions. You can't really definitely don't make decisions based off of emotions, because they switch so fast that one moment you could be ready to cry, and then the next moment you could be just happy and just grateful. And just, so allow yourself to be in the emotion, but make sure that you do what you need to do to overcome those emotions so that you don't stay at that low vibration and then other things start to happen. The last thing that I want to tell you to do, and this is what I'm going to do today after I make this video, is meditation. We don't like to sit in our thoughts, but sitting in our thoughts sometimes are the best things that we can do for ourselves, because you're really giving yourself the opportunity to just be present. And I have been very resistant of meditating for some reason in this season. And I'm going to get back to meditating again, because I remember when I was meditating, even if it was for 5 minutes, the first day it feels crazy. Like, you just, your mind is just like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? But after you do it for a few days, it really puts you at peace. And so if you've never meditated before, I definitely recommend you do that. Start with guided meditation. If you've never meditated before, where they literally tell you the different things to do, I find that helps me to keep my mind on track and like kind of focused. I'm not going to say I'll be focused all the time, but it keeps it kind of focused long enough for me to meditate and feel better at the end of it. So this video is at 20 minutes, y'all. I've been talking to y'all for 20 minutes. I don't know where it comes from. But I'm gonna end the video here. Just know that if you are just not feeling it, you are just mentally somewhere else, and you are struggling right now mentally, you're not alone. There's a lot of people right now that are not sharing what they are mentally going through. And I want you to know that you will come out on the other end of it. You will come out on the other end of it. But just remember, you have to be intentional about taking your mind back. And it can feel like a lot at the beginning, but if you be consistent with doing the things like what I told you, then you will come out on the other end of it. So that's all I have for you. I'll see you in another video.